Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, episode 39. Magnetize people and money to you. As we continue talking about money, my goal is to bring information about money from all different angles. And today I have a very special guest, Anna Tsui, who's talking about how you can magnetize people and money to you, because we all know money also comes through people, may not come from people, but comes through people. And how you can magnetize what you need to magnetize people to you. And I love having very special guests on this podcast. I'm very particular about who I invite into this podcast because I want to provide the most amazing value to you all. And I invited her because she brings a different perspective. And her perspective, as you might be also noticing as you listen to this podcast episode, how I have shared a lot of these things with you all. And hearing it from another perspective, hearing it from another voice can actually cement it. In fact, I often tell my students and my clients to listen to information from other people as well, because there is something about listening to information from different places and different perspectives which actually cements the information really well. So this episode is very special because Anna is a very dear friend of mine, and I know you will find a lot of value in this episode. So without any further delay, here is Anna Tsui to you. Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, so you can create the life you desire by tapping into your inner wisdom. I'm your host, Padma Ali. I'm widely known in the field of psychology as helping create long-lasting transformation. And now, I'm here to help you create the life you desire using the combination of neuropsychology and ancient healing practices. This podcast is for you overachievers who are ready to unlock your highest potential so you can live the life of your dreams without the hustle. I'm here to guide you through a process of self-discovery to be the creator of your destiny. You can have that fulfilling career, that relationship, the abundance, all by taking aligned actions, simply by tapping into the power of your brain, your inner wisdom, and ancient practices. So tune in, folks. I am so delighted you're here. Hello, welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. This is your host, Padma. And today I have a beautiful, amazing special guest, Anna Tsui. Anna and I go a really long way. I met Anna when I used to have a full-time psychotherapy practice in Boston, in downtown Boston, and her office was just across from me. And we just started talking one day, and this was years and years and years ago. Oh my goodness, this was long before I had kids, so it's a long time coming. And I'm going to let Anna introduce herself, but she's an author, she's an amazing coach, and she's just a fabulous human being. And I'm so blessed to have known Anna. I will let Anna introduce herself, but I'm so excited. I can't wait to dive in with all of you. I can't wait for all of you to hear all about Anna's magic. And especially on the topic of money, which is what we're talking about right now. So Anna, welcome.
Yay, Padma. It does, now that you mention it, it does feel like lifetimes ago, like years and years and years ago. But I just remember like meeting you like it was yesterday. And there's a reason why Padma's in my life is because she's amazing. And I've just watched you give so many gifts to the world, including this awesome podcast. And I'm so excited to be on. So thank you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. As always, you have this beautiful ability to make people feel good. So Anna, tell us about you. Tell us about what you do and about your book, which I just love.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Padma. So a little bit about me. I run the Intuitive Business School, which is we have a private Facebook group. And basically, I help spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners really work at the level of their personal energetics and creating their own magic. I know Padma mentioned a little bit about magic, and we all have that feeling like there's something about us, right, that maybe we don't want to brag about, but it's something special about us that draws people to us, that helps us really give life to our mission and the work that we do. And my life work, I think, is really helping people connect with their unique genius and bring that into the world. And it just happens that a lot of these people are business owners. And the book that I have is called, wow, I feel like the book is, it was a lifetime ago writing that, but it's called Shadow Magic, and how to turn your fear, all the fears that we have, into fuel and create a prosperous coaching business. So I suggest people checking that out, and you can get a bunch of free chapters on my website if you're interested.
Yes, and I'll attach all the show notes and I'll attach all the information in the show notes. But what I loved about Shadow Magic is that I love how, there's always light and darkness are the same side of they're the same two sides of the coin. And I love that you can use your shadow to create whatever you want.
And it's so powerful, right?
So powerful. So powerful. So before I hit record, I know we were just chatting a little bit about what your current project, what you're doing in your group. And would you like to share a little bit about that? And then we can dive into the topic about money.
It's so perfect because we're actually talking about this. And my stance in the world is I really believe that spiritual entrepreneurs or people who are just connected in the process of connecting with their energy intuition, there's so much more success for us than we allow ourselves to believe and maybe even allow ourselves to receive. And so we're actually talking exactly about this topic around money, the energetics of money. And so this is absolutely perfect. I can't wait to dive in.
Great. So tell us what you're sharing about the spirit, about money and especially receiving, right? Like you said something about how we resist a lot of.
It's, I think the concept and the natural element of energy is the same element of money. And I've heard you mention this many times, Padma, the money is just an energy. And if we allow the energy to flow, so the reason why I say that people who are spiritual, who are intuitive, are really set up for success is because the energy is the foundation of everything. And people who are intuitive, we're already open to receiving flow and inspiration and creativity from source, right? From just people around us. And because that channel is already open, we're already experiencing it. It's the same channel that really we receive money from. And a lot of times we receive money from our creativity. And anyone who has a business, it doesn't matter, I think, if it's a service or a product, we're the creative operators of our business. And the least resistance we can have bringing that flow into connection with other people. And that's through our speaking and our marketing. And, like what you're doing is absolutely perfect for that. As long as we can allow that flow to connect with our people in the most non-resistant way. And I say that meaning a lot of times we filter it because we want to be polite, or we think that we don't want people to judge us or whatever it is. And what happens is we actually just lose part of our genius, part of our unique perspective. So as much as we can flow the creativity within us outward towards our audience, and just have it connect with people, that is the same flow of wealth and abundance and resources and love in our lives. So anywhere that we feel maybe we have a block of money, I think just look at our block of our own creativity. Usually that's a big, I think, indicator for our level of receiving and flowing wealth.
Wow. Wow. So I wanted to highlight something you said. It's about allowing that there's no difference between money and anything else, like abundance of whatever it is. And when there's that it gets blocked, that's when we stop allowing it to flow. That means we're stopping creativity to come through.
Absolutely, because the universe wants to flow through us, and we're really creative individuals. I think everyone is superbly creative in their own way, and we're meant to be here and play this game of life and create stuff and experiment with stuff and do things. And I like this color. Oh no, I like this color, right? I like to do this in my business. No, I like to do this in my business. And when we're not allowing ourselves to do that, when we're getting insight and then we're kind of judging it and saying, well, I want to wait for the perfect time, right, to start writing that book, or I want to wait for the perfect time to give this message, or, that's when we're stopping the flow. And that also stops the flow of other things in our life too, including money.
Right, right. And a lot of my audience have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not entrepreneurs necessarily. There may be some
Mm-hmm.
of them. So how would you share that? Like, how do you use this information about creativity and blocking, especially when people have a job and they feel like money comes from their job?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So here's the thing. So I feel like even if you have a job, you're still almost like an entrepreneur in your job. And the people that I've met who are the happiest, most fulfilled, most respected. They have this sense of ownership around their job and around what they do, and even for their company, right? Depending on the company culture. But I just know that it can be very easy, especially if you work in a type, depending on what your company is, the corporate environment, it can feel like you're just like a cog in the wheel sometimes. And I would love people to really challenge that, because what money just like, I really think the universe comes and it really works and connects with our personal confidence. And no matter if we're confidently showing up in our business or confidently showing up in our careers, confidence is what magnetizes money and opportunities to you. And when we don't have ownership over our role, even, maybe you don't love your role, or maybe you do, right? Maybe you don't love your company, maybe you do. It doesn't matter. The level of ownership that we can have, almost like this is our little business, right? That is what allows senior management and also the greater world of opportunities, maybe even beyond your knowing, to really see that you've got this magical world of yours, which is your role and your confidence handled. And what happens is the universe really responds to confidence. And so we'll be reflected back to us that people are confident in us and our work, and that we'll be given more opportunities because of this level of confidence. And so I really feel like there's no differentiation necessarily between being a business owner and then, running your own role, like as your business, because it's like that level of ownership and confidence that really changes everything. Because honestly, you don't really see that a lot in corporate or just with people in their careers. A lot of times we feel like we're under the yoke of someone, and that's, spiritually speaking, absolutely not true.
Mm. So well said and so true, right? When you take ownership, like what I'm hearing you say is like when you take ownership and you really take that on as this is my job and I take responsibility and I love what I do, somehow the universe will reward you in some form or the other. It will come to you, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, and people really they feel into your confidence. And a lot of times, if you have two people who are doing the same role or have the same skill, it's the person who's confident who's going to be seen as the most competent. They're going to be seen as the person who can handle not just what they're doing, but maybe even they're ready for a bigger role, right? A bigger task. So ownership and confidence, I think, go hand in hand for anyone who wants success in their career, because especially right now, and like we're all living through 2020, and who knows what's going to happen in 2021. It's the level of confidence isn't there. So if you can just be confident and have ownership in what you do, that's going to be really different, and it's going to be really magnetic, and you're really going to be seen as a leader, where most people are kind of more in this fear space, rightly so, right? Because we're going through crazy times.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's so eloquently said. I love that. I love that, especially about confidence and how that can magnetize money to you. Magnetize
Mhm.
everything to you, not just money. It's like,
Yes.
yes, anything you want.
Yeah, because kind of what I found is, especially the more, and you and I are like this, like we're very intuitive, we're very empathetic. And for people like us, we tend to just kind of, we kind of like, what's the word? We kind of just like munch on the inside, right? We're like, okay, we're just like taking it in, we're processing, and there's like another level, another gear to that, where we just own that. And we just own, this is who I am, and this is how I show up, and this is what I see. And that confidence really brings another level of being seen and being appreciated. And sometimes it's just a really quick internal shift, which is really great for someone, let's say, who's working with you, right? This is really where a coach or a mentor really helps us get out of our current everyday state into this, oh yeah, I have this whole other level of energy accessible to me that I completely forgot about because I'm just stuck with my schedule of every day and the kids and, all this stuff.
It's so true. It's so true. It's about like how can you get out of your own way, right? So I'm curious about the work that you do in the world, and I'm sure you come across this a lot, like how people resist this accepting who they are, accepting their gifts, their confidence, all of those things, how they resist that and how that blocks the flow of money. So how does one work through that resistance?
One of the first things, and it's actually, I think, one of the most simple things, but it's one of those simple but not easy things. There was a beta that I was running called the Catalyst Method, and I was taking people through this process of actively unwinding their negative thinking, because negative thinking is basically the greatest block and destroyer of all things, everything that we want. And our negative thinking just really just takes anything that we want and it just makes it that much harder, right? Almost seemingly impossible. And so what I would suggest is for your people to think about what it is they actually want and to really look at how that really already exists in their life. And every single person that I've talked to, that I've asked, they're like, well, I want this promotion, or I want this type of relationship, or I want money to come to me easily. 10 times out of 10 that I've asked them, and sometimes it takes a little bit of pushing, a little bit of re-asking, they already have some level of this in their life. Show me how money has come to you before. And they're like, no, it hasn't. No, it's always been hard. And I'm like, really, really though? And they're like, well, there was that one time when I really needed money to go on this trip or to pay this bill. And I don't know how it happened. It was like a freak thing. And then, one of my parents gave me money, or this check came in from the government, or who knows, right? It just comes out of nowhere. Or I had a friend, someone asked him if they could buy right to his coaching program. And he was like, I don't have, what are you talking about? It's just my material that I teach. And they're like, yeah, but I really love it. And I would love to teach it. Can I just buy it from you? And he was like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about that. And that just came out of the blue. And there's so many opportunities like that. And there's so many things that have already happened to us. And our negative mind, which is very common, we just see what's not possible, or we see how we've tried and we failed. And it's keeping us from really seeing how it's already happening, already showing up, and how things are really working out for us. So if your listeners, your audience, can do this simple exercise of just sitting down and noting how they already have the thing that they want, I want a loving relationship. Okay, talk about, what are some ways that you have people in your life who love you, or that you love other people. And when we can start flipping our mindset to really seeing what we have, then we're not in lack mentality anymore, which, by the way, attracts no money, only more bills. And we're in this like abundance mentality, which again is very magnetic,
Yeah. That's so what you're saying is when you observe what you already have about what you're wanting, if it's already there, then your mind, you shift into more abundance thinking. And we all know mind, and we our thoughts attract what we want.
Yes, yes. It creates that energy. And then imagine walking around being someone who just notices what they have, and they're just like really grateful for it. And it actually gives us a sense of confidence. And that's why I have people do it, because they become more confident. They're like, wow, I actually forgot about this. I actually forgot that I had someone approach me with an opportunity and I was just too scared and I turned them down, right? Yeah. Like that happens all the time. And we really do forget about it. But if we walk in the world realizing what is coming to us, well, first of all, we get more of the opportunities. And second of all, we have this fullness and this confidence. Whereas other people, most people, sadly, are just walking around with this lack, and I don't have enough. And it actually doesn't matter how much money you have. It's a mentality. And so would we rather walk into a room feeling full and confident, or just noticing lack and thinking negatively? Like it's a really different state of being.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I talked somewhat about this in the last episode, and in one of the episodes, and this is exactly what I was saying about gratitude. When you can feel gratitude, it attracts more of whatever you want into your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to get to. So sometimes you might need someone to walk you through the process, because we're actually programmed to notice what what we're missing so we can buy it, right? Or go get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But even that is lack, right? Like, oh, I don't have it. Like, and so how can someone help you do that? That's beautiful. Beautiful. So in essence, I love how you reframed even resistance. There's no resistance. It just like work with it differently.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. There's always flow. So we can always choose flow. And sometimes for me, and I think for a lot of other people, like if we're feeling stuck, then if we just flow with our breath, if we just go and take a walk, there's always flow, always flow.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how would you magnetize money to you? Since money is the topic, what are some of the ways that you can magnetize money?
One is notice the core belief around money. And a lot of times when we're in any type of, I would call it a container. So a container is just like a space, right? So if we're in working with a company, notice that culture around money, right? Whatever it is, notice what your coworkers are saying to you about money. That really develops our core belief around money, which is, well, I can only get, a raise that's like 3% a year or however it is, or, I really have to sacrifice more time in order to work harder to get a bonus. And notice our core beliefs around money, because that is always what gets perpetuated. That's always what we get. And what I would offer is, if you can find just a more relaxed and more open core belief around money, and it could just be, money comes to me from all places. Money doesn't only come to me from my job. Money doesn't, and I know people who are retired, and because they're having more fun, they're finding more ways to make money, right? And I know people who are working jobs, but they're also getting money from other methods. And it could be from either their fun part-time gig, it could be from investments, it could be from other opportunities, from family, it could just be gifts, right? So when we have this tight belief that money comes from work and it comes from our job and I can only have this raise, then it really closes us to all of the other ways that money wants to come to us. So maybe having, I know Padma is a really good meditator. I need to learn from Padma about that. And, like if you just had this more open belief or mantra about money, money comes to me in all forms, you can just feel that it just like relaxes you, so we're not desperate that our one job, or, me as an entrepreneur, my clients are the only way I can make money. That feels very difficult. So just allow yourself to relax. And what's a more honestly truthful and more open core belief about money? And I really do believe that money can come to you from all forms, not just your boss, not just, your company.
That's so true. Years ago, you had told me about that book, Abundance, years ago. And then I finally, yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
And that book is like one of my favorite books to read. Like it's such an amazing book and talks a lot about money does not come from work. Money does not come from people or things. It comes from the universe. And the more we can easily accept that, and the more we can expand to it and make room for the money to flow in, it's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when we get into that more easeful place around money, money does have an energy, and we'll just naturally be curious. Oh, I wonder if I wonder if I should kind of do something on the side, or I wonder if I should look at other jobs, that I wonder if I should ask my colleagues what they're getting paid. And it becomes this kind of curious thing. And when you talk to people who have lots of wealth, right, they know that the goal of their money is to just create more wealth, and because they're tapped in, they know what's available, they know what's possible. And a lot of times we're avoiding that because we're like, we don't want to know what's on the other side of, and so like, if we can just be open and just feel into the pulse of money, we might get different ideas. We might get attracted to other positions, right? We might even, oh, I should ask for a raise. These new inspirations will take hold of us when we're more open to money and receiving money in different ways.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. So, Anna, tell us a little bit about your process of working with your clients, and especially about Intuitive Business School. It's so amazing. You started that, by the way.
Yes, the Intuitive Business School. I love working with people who I feel like I'm more working with them on the intuitive level. And for people who, for a lot of business owners, like their business is them, and that's like their passion project, if you will. And I know that with a lot of folks who work in companies and in corporate, they still have like a personal mission, right? They still have this personal drive for something. And I love working with people to really unlock what their natural genius is. Like A. Hendrick talks about like zone of genius versus zone of excellence. And I feel like a lot of times we're working in our zone of excellence, which is stuff that we're good at, but really finding our zone of genius, like what we're meant to do, that's super interesting to me. And I feel like it's also the scariest thing for most of us, because it means we have to really stand with our truth, with what we believe. And if you work in a company and maybe what you believe is against, what other people believe, that can be very scary. But it's also the most rewarding thing. So I just really enjoy helping people with that process and taking out into your life or your career or your business and really shining that.
Nice. And is there a process that like you just feel like sharing with us about how you do this work, or how you help people get over the shadow aspects of their life?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I would say work with Padma, because she has an amazing, actually, like background in this, which is so different from so many people in the industry. Like, I don't think people realize how rare you are, Padma, to be able to actually like come from that world of mental health and that training, and then also to like bring your own genius into it, because there's a lot of intuition in how Padma relates with your people. And a lot of times, like, if someone were to work with you, then they would connect with their own voice and their intuition and their own magic, so that's really powerful. I really want to acknowledge that. And that's really not common. So it's rare. So that's the first thing I would say. The process. Okay.
Oh, Anna, you're so sweet. And thank you. I receive very graciously whatever you said. And that's amazing. And that's exactly how I feel about you.
Why, thank you, Padma. See, this is the thing. So I think this is the step, right? It's really knowing, it's really knowing your gift. And a lot of times, like, and being able to see that in people and being able to articulate what your unique genius is. And Padma and I know each other. So we're like, I know what your genius is. I know what your genius is. I've experienced your genius. And so ask people around you, like, hey, I know, for example, like, let's say I'm an engineer, like I know I'm an engineer or I know I'm an analyst, but what would you say my genius is? Like, what would you say makes me really different and unique from the other analysts and the other engineers or whoever, right? And people will tell you something that will always be surprising to you because you think it's so natural to you, but they're like, no, you're actually really good seeing the bigger picture. Or it's amazing that you can predict what's going to happen in a meeting before it happens. Or you're really good with people. I know someone who, one of my previous clients, she helps women with negotiation. And one of the women who worked with her is, she was an office manager. And she took a vacation for, I think, a week and a half or something. And that office basically shut down. They did not realize they had trained people, right, to, make the appointments and order the stuff and whatever. But what she brought to the table, which was just like this immense sense of community and caring and liveliness and conversation, that everyone was like, oh my gosh, we are really missing her. And sometimes you don't know that until someone reflects that on you or you're gone. And then they're like, wow, we really missed you. So find out what that is for you. And that's what you can use in your negotiations for your promotion too. But it's also a really great tool to have for anyone, whether you're a business owner or you're just on a career path. Know your genius. And usually it's different than what you do. So like, I'm a coach, but my genius really is in the melding and connecting with your intuition, right? And how you can create from that space and build a more powerful life. So that's like kind of my genius spot, or not kind of, it is, So find out what that is for you. It can be a lot of fun. Just start asking one person.
I love that. I love that. Again, that ties back into the confidence and like how it might make you feel more good about yourself and then magnetize anything you want. It's just, that is genius in itself.
And there's no competition. There's no competition. Yeah, there might be a million coaches, which there are, right? But I know there's no one like me. I know there's no one like you. I know that, so once you know your genius, you begin to really feel like you said, Pat, that confidence again. There is no competition.
Yeah. And then when you can own that. So am I hearing this correctly? Like when you start to own your genius, then you automatically start to work with the shadows, and then those don't overpower you in the same way?
I would say that the shadows, these unconscious parts of us, the ways that we sabotage ourselves, for me, it was like impossible for me to work at that on my own. So I highly suggest finding someone who can help you through the process, or even doing some research, right, on how to heal your inner child, how to heal your inner wounds. That's all our shadows are. It's like these unconscious parts of us, these wounds that we have, these parts of us
Right.
that we don't like to look at. And that process, the first step in that process is just noticing what your shadows are. I have some of my clients keep a book of all the different parts of them that come up, when they're about to do a launch, or when they have a big promotion, they just got a big promotion. And then they're like, oh my gosh, do I deserve this? Right? All the shadows come up. And I'm like, hey, it's just a part of you that feels that way. You're not, all of you isn't feeling that way. Part of you is probably really excited about this promotion, right? So I actually have them keep a book of like, oh, this is this part of me. Oh, this part of me wants to create chaos. Oh, this part of me is late for everything. This part of me wants to sabotage all my love relationships. And it's just like interesting to know so that
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this part is coming up. Okay, cool.
Yeah. 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 And that is so amazing when we can do that, right? Like it stops us from feeling that, oh my goodness, like it's all of me. Like I suck at this, or I'm never going to get that promotion. I'm never going to do this. It's just a part of you. And I use parts work a lot with my clients
Mhm.
too. And so it's so powerful when you can
It's
start
so
to,
powerful.
yeah, and forming a relationship with those parts of us that hold us back, and then letting them go, focusing on what you can do from here.
Yeah. So everyone, just the parts work, I think, is really powerful, and the fact that you do it with your clients, Padma, I feel like everyone should do it, but most people don't. So just if you happen to be following Padma and listening to this podcast, like it's really powerful. I have never um, done the parts work with someone where they haven't cried and they're like, "Wow, I didn't realize all this was here."
Right? I know. It's very, 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 very powerful. Yeah. And like you said, like when you can find your zone of genius, like find who you are and not just what you're doing, right? It's not the work you're doing, but it goes beyond that. Yeah.
hmm
I think
Yeah,
about, go ahead.
it just adds so much dimension. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. No, I was thinking about Assad, my husband. Right? He's like a classic example of that. On the surface, he's like, he's an engineer and he's an MBA from Haas, and like that's how he works. But he has such a big heart, and that heart is what gets him to do whatever he does in the world. And
Yes.
so, but on the one, like when you just look at him, he's like logical and like this, but he has this whole other side to him that he uses at work. And I know
Absolutely.
that's what makes everybody loves him because of that.
Yes, yes, yes. And like imagine if we just knew that about ourselves and then we allowed ourselves to be more of that. Because a lot of times I feel like we don't allow ourselves to, let's say, we do have a big heart, but we're like, oh, well, I don't know if that's like allowed or it's not what other people are like. And we just kind of hold back. So imagine if we just allowed ourselves to really be in our genius. And sometimes our genius is we have a big heart and we're really loving, and having love. Oh my gosh. Like imagine if I was a team member working under a side, like I would just be like, all right, I feel the courage to, give my input. And that's really going to benefit my team and my company. Right. And
Right.
it's like love is like the biggest catalyst, and it's like the ultimate wealth. So like if that is your genius, be in your genius. We need more of that.
Right. Yes. Yes. It's amazing. So tell us something that you're currently launching or you have a project on, like something that people can benefit from working with you, or anything you're doing.
Oh, I think, what am I doing? So right now I'm doing a training series in the Intuitive Business School Facebook group, and that's just a free training around specifically the energetics of self-worth and what that means in terms of growing your business. And it's relevant also for really anyone who wants to grow any initiative. And so that's in the group, which you can join for free. It's a private group. And then I will be relaunching the Catalyst Method beta version 2. So anyone who's interested, just on my website, there's some more information around that and a wait list. So that's a fun project I'm working on. And I'm also bringing that into the corporate sphere because, Padma, as we know, stress in 2020 is unlike
Ooh.
anything that we've ever experienced, you know?
Yes, so true. It's crazy right now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely crazy. And the Catalyst method helps you unwind your negative thinking so that you can really show up for your team, really show up for yourself, really show up for your family. I feel, you know, thousands of pounds lighter when I don't have the worry and
Yeah.
I don't have that lack that like gnaws at me. You know, I can just be myself. And I think everyone just needs to give themselves credit that they made it through almost 2020. And it was a heavy time. So I think we should all be a little bit more loving for ourselves with more loving and nourishing thoughts because we got through it together, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And this is so important because just because the year is ending doesn't mean that all of these things are going to go away. We don't know, right? There's so much unknown. There's so much unknown. And who knows what's the end. But that's life.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Yes.
control anything. So might as well get all these foundational pieces under your belt so you can deal with anything that comes your way.
Oh, yes. And I think you're right. Like it's uncertain, but 2021 will be different than 2020. But at the same time, right, it's a continuation of the energy and the pressure. And if we can prepare ourselves for that, then we'll just feel so much better.
So true. So true. I mean, I don't say this very often, but 2020 has actually been good for me
Yay! I love that.
because exactly what you said. There's no worry. I just dropped the worry completely. Like, no, this year has been all about I'm not available for worry anymore.
That is such a game changer. You just free up so much of your mental space
Yeah,
for
and
everything
energy
else.
space too. Like it just allows more to flow to you. And it's
And
good. Yeah.
is that different for a mom? Because I feel like moms that I know, they just have more to worry about, right? So I can imagine that's like so much harder as a mom, or
Worry
maybe
is a
not.
choice. Worry is a choice, overwhelm is a choice. And that's what something I discovered as a mom, which you've seen me through the mom journey from the day one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't this way. I used to worry a lot. I used to get sucked into worry and overwhelm. And finally, till I decided I'm not available for that. I'm going to enjoy this
Mm,
moment with them and I'm going to assume everything is going to be fine.
yes. And so I'm just curious, how has that changed your experience being a mom?
Oh, 100% I enjoy them more. I'm not just focused on like, the next thing I have to do and get the meals on the table and like make sure that poop is cleaned. I mean, like what not? Like, but that's you can get so caught up in that and then feel overwhelmed and stressed because you've seen both my kids, they both are talkers and they'll talk at the same time. They'll ask you questions at the same time and expect and demand answers at the same time. I'm like, there's 1% of me, but I don't. Now I'm like, you know what? This is me. And
Yeah.
it's been a game changer, not succumbing to worry and overwhelm. It's like so good for our family.
And I really think that's actually the for our family life. That's like one of the trickiest areas. And so if you can start there, but it's also the most important area, and it trickles through in our career because really our family is really kind of what matters. You know, like the work stuff,
Right.
like that's great, but like the family stuff, if you can not worry there and be more present, oh my gosh, I'm sure you've seen a big difference in your business. You know,
Yes.
because of that.
Yeah. And because I've had to make changes because once the worry is gone, then I can actually sit and see, okay, what do I need? Right. So I hired help. I have full-time help because of that. I decided my sanity is more important than what's going on. So I'm going to hire help. And so I can actually devote time to them and to my business and not be
Whoa.
stressed. But that can
Yes.
only come, like you said, like when you're not giving into that worry. And so, yes, I'm just seconding, if there's any such word, called seconding, whatever you said about like, okay, do these things. And I'll attach all your information in the show notes so people can find you.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. That was really, I learned something today, everyone.
So tell us where people can find you, Anna.
Find me at annatsui.com, ANNATSUI.com. And I'm on social media. And again, in the Intuitive Business School Facebook group, that's where I show up. So if you want to chat or interact, I'm there.
Beautiful. Great. So I will connect all of that in the show notes. And so fabulous talking to you, Anna. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. It's such an amazing Such a pleasure to talk to
Where
you.
did the time go, Padma? Oh my gosh. We'll need a round 2 at some point.
Yes, absolutely. 2021, we'll have another session with you.
Woohoo! Thank you for having me. Thank you, listeners. This has been such a special treat. I'm so, so, so honored.
Thank you, Anna.